morning, everyone. My name is Matt Westmoron. I am chair of the zoning committee. I call this meeting to order. I'm joined by council members Dozier, Shook, Norwood, Hillis, and Wyckoff. We constitute a quorum. I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda. Second by Hillis. Please open that vote.
The vote is open. Would all members please
It says we're waiting on Mr. Shook, but he's,
No, it still is not leaving.
mark him as a yes? We'll mark him as a yes. The vote is closed.
I had the wrong one, it should have said.
6 yeas, 0 nays. The agenda is adopted. Next up, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Second by Hillis.
Vote is open. The vote is closed.
6 yeas, 0 nays. The minutes are approved. Next up, Director Holmes, if you will sound the captions for first reads.
Good morning, council members. Item number 1, 25-0-1636Z. Okay. Item number 1, 25-0-1636 Z2566, an ordinance by zoning committee to rezone from residential general sector 3 to multifamily residential for property located at 2199 Lennox Road Northeast. Item number 2, 25-0-1637 Z2567, an ordinance by zoning committee to rezone from single family residential to planned development housing for 78 and 88 Howard Street. Item number 3, 25-0-1638 Z2568, an ordinance by zoning committee to rezone from single-family residential to planned development mixed use for a major site plan amendment for property located at 2041 Field Road and 2804 Yates Drive Northwest. Item number 4, 25-0-1639 Z2569, an ordinance by zoning committee to rezone from single-family residential to single-family residential for property located at 125 Howell Drive Southwest. Item number 5, 25-0-1640 U2531. An ordinance by zoning committee for a special use permit for a preschool pursuant to section 16060051B for property located at 743 Virginia Avenue Northeast. Item number 6, 25-0-1641 U2533, an ordinance by zoning committee for a special use permit for a special school larger than 8,000 square feet pursuant to section 16320071D for property located at 2295 Benjamin E. Mays Drive Southwest. Item number 7, 25-0-1642 U2534, an ordinance by zoning committee for a special use permit for an outdoor sales area pursuant to section 16340071K for property located at 420 Chapel Street Southwest. Item number 8, 25-0-1643 U2535, an ordinance by zoning committee for a special use permit for a private school pursuant to section 16040051L and 16050051L for property located at 966 West Paces Ferry Northwest, 3325 Relman Road, 3311 Relman, and 15 Ashworth Court Northwest. Item number 9, 25-0-1644 U2536, an ordinance by zoning committee for a special use permit for an outdoor sales area pursuant to section 16320071H for property located at 1611 Ralph David Abernathy Boulevard Southwest. And item number 10, 25-0-1645 U2537, an ordinance by zoning committee for a special use permit for a cell tower pursuant to section 1606A0052B for property located at 2150 Joseph E. Boone Boulevard Northwest.
Thank you. Next up, without objection, we can take items 11 through 16 together, as the recommendation will be to refer to ZRB.
Item number 11, 25-0-1599 Z2559, ordinance by zoning committee to rezone from single-family residential to multifamily residential for property located at 1665 and 1669 Stanton Road Southwest. Item number 12, 25-0-1600 Z2562, an ordinance by zoning committee for to rezone from single-family residential to single-family residential for property located at 115 Nathan Road Southwest. Item number 13, 25-0-1601 U2529, an ordinance by zoning committee for a special use permit for a daycare center pursuant to section 16060051B for property located at 850 Ormwood Avenue Southeast. Item number 14, 25-0-1616, an ordinance by Councilmember Alex Wan to grant a special use permit for an existing cell tower greater than 70 feet pursuant to section 16250023 and 16060051L1I for property located at 1475 Piedmont Road Northeast. Item number 15, 25-016-21, an ordinance by Councilmember Dustin Hillis to waive Part 3 Land Development Code, Part 16 Zoning, Chapter 28A, Sign Ordinance, Section 1628A, 009, prohibited signs of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances to authorize erection of a roof sign at 881 Marietta Street Northwest. Item number 16, 25-016-29, an ordinance by Councilmember Liliana Bakhtiari to zone various parcels having frontage on Sergeant Avenue Southeast, Smith Street Southeast, Ford Street Southeast, Orange Blossom Terrace Southeast, Young Street Southeast, Glen Drive Southeast, Boulder Crest Drive Southeast, and Eastland Road Southeast to the single-family residential zoning district upon annexation into the corporate limits of the City of Atlanta from unincorporated DeKalb County and for other purposes.
Thank you. We have been joined by Council President-elect Marcy Collier Overstreet. And with that, I will make a motion to refer items 11 through 16 to ZRB.
Mm-hmm. 966 West Basis Ferry.
And that vote is closed.
7 yeas, 0 nays, those items are referred. Item number 17.
Item number 17, 25R 4136, a resolution by Councilmembers Jason Dozier, Matt Westmoreland, Carden Wyckoff, Jason H. Winston, and Leon Bakhtiari, requesting for the Department of City Planning to remove parking minimum requirements citywide as part of the Zoning 2.0 rewrite, recognizing the success of previous reforms and the opportunity to transform Atlanta's built environment and for other purposes.
Mr. Dozier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, this legislation was something that I put together largely, number one, recognizing that the City of Atlanta is about to embark on Zoning 2.0, which is the most comprehensive rewrite of our zoning code since 1982. And with that work that's being done, wanted to make sure that we posture our city for not just the future or future growth, but recognizing where we might have made some part of our growth more challenging in the last 40 years. One aspect of that is with our city's requirement for private development to have specific parking minimums. So if I'm building an apartment building, the current city code requires there to be set aside amount of parking. And my view of this is that with municipalities across the country and actually some states across the country looking at ways to make development happen much more, have less roadblocks to new development. Cost of construction, cost of labor has driven up development costs across the country. As an example, every parking space in a parking deck that's built as part of a development costs about $50,000. Those costs get absorbed by renters, tenants, and others. My view is that let the market decide how much parking needs to be built for private development. Remove the city from that equation, remove the city from that regulatory burden being put on development. We already have had a robust conversation earlier this year as far as the tree protection ordinance. This helps private development happen in a way that is speaks to the specific communities that they're trying to build in. Like I said, many cities across the country have already done this. In the city of Atlanta, we're already doing this in a big part of our city. Roughly 40% of the city currently does not have parking minimums. And that is only growing. Every time we build a transit station, every time we build a transit hub, more of our city, we remove those parking minimums. And just last year, we removed parking minimums within the Beltline overlay, and that had no deleterious impact on communities, especially with the developments that have been announced in the last year and a half to 2 years in terms of concerns that community members have had about people parking in front of their houses and things like that. The intent is just to make sure that we are posturing our city for future growth, more people-oriented growth, and growth that is flexible and agile and can respond to market conditions. And so I view that the Zoning 2.0 rewrite is an amazing opportunity to posture our city for the future. And this resolution essentially calls for or encourages that to be embedded in zoning 2.0 that will be introduced at some point in the future. So with that, I will go ahead and make the motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve, seconded by Councilmember Wyckoff. Ms. Norwood.
Yes, I have not studied this. I'm going to abstain today. What I know is that my part of the city's got tremendous density, and it backs straight up to single family. And one of the great things about our city is that we can have 40-story high-rises next to a wonderful single-family neighborhood, which all of us represent those neighborhoods. So I want to make sure that we craft this in a way that where there is this tremendous amount of density and where there is that we either are using existing parking or whatever, because we get the concerns from the neighborhood that, and we've had it in Ansley Park, we've had it in Chastain Park, we've had it in we've had it in North Buckhead, we've had it all over, where people are saying, I can't get out of my driveway, they're parking on both sides of our street, trying to get police to deal with that. It's been difficult. So I just want to make sure that we do this so we get development where we want it and where it makes sense and where you've got the built environment that absolutely supports it. So I want to support it, but I want to have that conversation with you, so I'm going to abstain today.
You want to respond?
Yes, Councilmember, I just want to respond just to say, I absolutely heard. And one of the things that I think has been amazing with what we've seen with development in this city, especially over the last 20 years, I mean, you see how much Midtown has grown, especially near Ansley Park, over the last 20 years, along Peachtree Street, along Piedmont. Those parts of our city currently do not have parking minimum requirements, but yet developers recognize some of the things that you recognize and want to make sure that parking is an amenity for those development. And so you still see these large parking podiums being built to accommodate both commercial, residential tenants. And so this is not prohibiting those developers from making that decision. This is saying that we're going to remove the city from that equation so that we make it, if a developer decides to build in a community and right size a development for that community to make sure that you can have more pedestrian connection, transit connection, that's allowable, and you don't have to have this regulatory hurdle that they have to overcome to make that happen. So developers, I mean, one of the things that really got me interested in this topic since I've been in office, when Centennial Yards, their first announced office structure that they have since gone away from because the market has changed. They had proposed a 14-story, 1,400 parking space building as far as their first building, and it's next to 2 transit stations. And we actually lowered parking maximums in downtown in response to that. And so we want developers to think about how they can best utilize the limited resources that we have across the city from a land use perspective. And what we are seeing is that developers sometimes are not willing to take that risk. And that's okay, because we're not telling them they have to do X, Y, Z. But I think you'll see that developers are going to be responsive to communities in ways that they have been, especially, they don't want the firestorm the same way that we get the firestorm sometimes. And so history has shown us that, it's not going to be the cataclysmic event for neighborhoods that some people might think, because, like I said, not only in other cities, but even here in Atlanta, not having those parking minimums has not dramatically impacted the course of communities. And so that's why I've been less, I'm not convinced that we'll see that, so.
And it's just always important because the city is so different across different parts of it. So where I am, there are no transit stations. None, 0 in District 8. Where we are, the Beltline is very much at the bottom of the district. There is no neighborhood commercial. There's only OK Cafe, which we all can know because that's the only one inside our borders that's commercial. So what you have is miles and miles and miles of larger lots and stable single-family residences. And so I just want to make sure that what we do does not impact them, because as both the incoming council president and the District 5 representative said last year is Norwood's already densified her commercial corridors, you know, and Mr. Shook has already densified his commercial corridors. So we got the density in huge ways, and trying to make sure that those single-family neighborhoods are not overwhelmed is just important, you know, is important for our part of the city. So, but I certainly support your legislation for where it makes sense, and you are right. You don't put huge parking decks when you've got a transit station right there. You're exactly right.
Mr. Shook.
Yeah, thank you. I'm also going to need some time to pray over this. You know, I'm a prisoner of my experience. I've spent 24 years supporting single-family neighborhoods that abut bars and clubs, and sometimes I think live, work, play needs to be followed by sleep as an important policy. I too, you know, want to see good development. My support for developers is not without limit, and so I'm going to need some more time to study this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Overstreet.
I was actually going to say pretty much the same thing. I actually support looking at zoning 2.0 where parking minimums are required. I think the remove all is kind of hard to digest right now, but I think that this is something that we absolutely need to look at. I think that our transportation options right now just they're not aligned with us removing all parking, because we're still driving, because we don't have the transportation grid that we want. So there are lots of cars that still need to park somewhere. So I'm not in favor of parking minimums. I'm really not. I've seen the problems that they're going through, even in small commercial nodes, including the Cascade Corridor, that one little small node that we have. But I don't know if remove all is the answer. We can talk for the next 5 days, and I'm sure I'm going to get quite a few phone calls. But I'm going to abstain because I don't want to vote no either, because I do think it's a worthy conversation for sure.
Thank you, citywide. Mr. Hillis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm generally supportive of this, but Councilmember Shook did jog my mind of a lot of issues, especially with bars and clubs. I mean restaurants in my district, where we've had a lot of issues where they are taking advantage of other people's lots and even residential streets and parking. So I would like to hear, you know, how this would specifically look. I understand large developments, multifamily developments, mixed-use developments, having no parking minimums, and support that. But being specific to those establishments that have wildly, you know, alcohol licenses that people drive to. But how it looks at that, and then also how that compares with what ATAG, you know, 34 may have or may not have recommended. I don't know if anybody recalls that. I know the ATAG guru is not on this committee, but I want to support this, but also want to have some time to look at those specific establishments and the ATAG recommendations. Thank you.
Mr. Dozier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And that's a great point, Councilmember Hill. So one thing I will add, you know, this resolution is asking for the Department, Office of Zoning and Development, to look at how we can incorporate this larger vision into Zoning 2.0, but the devil's in the details. And just like we did with the Beltline overlay, where we made some specific carve-outs to address those concerns that you and some other colleagues had about the implications for the alcohol code and some of the tools that have currently been used to keep bad actors out of communities. I'm sure we can identify ways in which the Zoning 2.0 ordinance, because this is the resolution I'm asking for, but that the eventual ordinance also has that in consideration. So for those of y'all who have those specific concerns, I would still ask for your support for the resolution. But as we see a final zoning 2.0 ordinance that's put before this body, will make doubly sure that those concerns that you have for your communities are being addressed in that document as well.
Thank you, Councilmember Dozier, and that point is taken about, and to everyone, this is simply a resolution asking DCP to look at something. It isn't adopting anything, so thank you.
Thus endeth one of the more robust discussions of this year's policy, or zoning committee. There's a motion on the floor from Councilmember Dozier, a second from Councilmember Wyckoff. If there are no further questions or comments, please open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
4 yeas, 3 abstentions. Next item, we have 2 items that are prepared to come off held. Item number 21.
Item number 21, 250-1282, Z2524, an ordinance by zoning committee to rezone from two-family residential Beltline overlay to multifamily multi-unit Beltline overlay for property located at 696 Highland Avenue Northeast. Staff and ZRB recommendation is denial. MP recommendation is approval.
Councilmember Wyckoff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had an opportunity to speak to the developer and some of the surrounding neighbors, as well as I did hear, get some phone calls about this piece of legislation. We're in an area that backs up next to the Beltline on North Highlands. It is a low-density zoned block. And the proposal is to convert a single-family house into an MRMU, which is also considered low density, into an 8-unit. My interpretation of this is not spot zoning, and that it does fit in with the rest of the low density on the block. Just down a couple of houses, there already is a 6-unit building, which also is low density. And the President Shipman also lives in this area and is in support of this. So I would make a motion to move to rezone this single-family house to an MRMU BL. Thank you.
Got a motion to approve by Wyckoff, which I will second. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please open the vote.
The vote is open. And that vote is closed.
7 yeas, 0 nays, that item is approved. Item number 25.
Item number 25, 250-1434, Z2561, an ordinance by Councilmember Howard Shook as substituted by zoning committee to amend the 1982 zoning ordinance of the city of Atlanta as amended so as to create a new overlay entitled Northeast Atlanta Quality of Life Regulation Overlay District for the purpose of limiting certain uses to amend the official zoning map and for other purposes. Staff recommendation is approval. NPU and ZRB recommendation is denial.
Move approval. Got a motion from Councilmember Shook to approve, a second from Councilmember Hillis. Any questions or comments or discussion? Seeing none, please open the vote.
The vote is open. Vote is closed. 3 yeas, 1 nay, 3 abstentions. Motion carries.
Motion carries. Any other items before the body? Seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you.